We got me making YouTube content again before GTA 6. The world has gone mad. Now, if it looks like I'm sweating my tits off, it's because it is currently 31 degrees outside. I wanted to wear a white shirt, but I didn't want the sweat patches to be caught in 4K. Right, we're here for the 5-year anniversary of Get Your Flicks Out, and as you can see, we are broadcasting live from the shag pad. My life has changed significantly in the 5 years that have passed since the last time I did a video. I've moved, as you can see, a new shelf which can now fit everything on it. And as promised, we are going to be covering my entire shelf. So of course, if you listen to the intro, that's where I sort of gave the rundown. I think in the intro I mentioned that we're going to be going up to the letter M. We're actually not going to be doing that. We're only going to be going up to the letter L, which should take us to about here. You can't really see on the camera. I'll have to do some editing. So yeah, we'll get to K and then we'll stop. Otherwise, this episode is going to be significantly longer than the other one. And of course, in that intro, which is an audio bonus, is where I talk about my love of physical media, why I collect it, why you should collect it. But yeah, everything here is alphabetized numerically as well, starting with numbers, by the way. I know that can be a bit contentious for some people, but it'd be interesting to know other collectors. If you alphabetize yours, put them in order, do you put your numbers first or last? Because that would be an interesting conversation to have if you're autistic like me. But yeah, I'm hoping to cater this as much as possible to the audio as well as the video. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about artwork. I am going to be showing some things off as well, but I will try my best not to linger too much for the visual aesthetic. But, you know, just watch it on your telly whilst you're, I don't know, having your breakfast or your dinner, or I don't know, having a wank or something. Because this is the kind of stuff I'd want to. Right, before we get on to the films, we're going to talk about the shelves themselves. I'm sure that's a pretty interesting conversation for some people. These shelves, I will actually put links in the description for this if I remember to do so. The shelves are about £70 each on Amazon. Very, very easy to put together. If I can do it, so can you. So there is a link to my Letterboxd in the profile, in the description as well. On there is a list. The list is pinned to my profile, and that will just walk you through every single film I own. I think there's 618 as of recording. That can go up or down at any given point, but I'm obviously not going to talk about all 600 plus films in exquisite details. Obviously, I have certain box sets that contain 10, 20 films in the box sets themselves. So I might talk about some films just very briefly. I might just go, hey, here's, you know, Big Slut Babes 3, and then just move on. That's in a different room. That's on a different shelf. But yeah, I might just briefly run through some. I might talk about more than others. Again, I'm going to be talking about some artwork a couple of times. So yes, very, very exciting. So let's begin. So, as mentioned, we're going to do numbers first, starting with 10 Cloverfield Lane. Sort of weird semi-sequel reboot to the Cloverfield film from 2008, was it the first one? I love the first Cloverfield film. And then there was like a huge delayed sequel, one of the best marketing campaigns for a film of all time, by the way. And then they sort of decided to make it an anthology series. Very cool concept of this, where, you know, Mary Elizabeth Winstead gets kidnapped by John Goodman after she's had a car crash, and he says, yeah, aliens have invaded, and you don't know if he's telling the truth or not, and it is set within the Cloverfield universe. Still haven't seen the sequel though, but I've heard it's fucking awful. We have 12 Angry Men. If you're a long time listener to this podcast, you'll know that one of my original questions was, objectively, what do you think is the best film ever made? And this was my answer. One of the most important films ever made. So incredible. I actually spoke to my dad about this recently, and he said it was one of the first times he sort of really appreciated a film that wasn't just like all action and stuff like that, and was really fascinated at the fact that you could make an entire film set in just one location, which this film is like 95% all in one location. I think like the beginning and end are like outside the courtroom, but yeah, it's so important. The themes it deals with, like racism and toxic masculinity and stuff like that, it's so incredibly ahead of its time for the 1950s. And really terrible box art though, for one of the most important and influential films ever made. There is a Criterion version of this, which I really want. Now we get onto one of the more valuable Blu-rays in my collection, a 28 Days and Weeks Later double pack. Now, I think it's slightly gone down in value since. I know 28 Days Later has just received a 4K release, but it wasn't available on any streaming, specifically the first film. I think the second film is, but you can't, I don't know. I know this is worth about £25 now, like pre-owned at CEX. I will try and talk about some of the more valuable stuff I have, but I know this was a slightly more valuable. I didn't pay anywhere near that for it. I bought this years and years ago, and it's just ever gone up in price since. I think, of course, that has to do with the release of the newer films. 127 hours. It's a little bit tainted now because of James Franco, who has sort of been semi-cancelled, but Danny Boyle made this just after Slumdog Millionaire. I still think it's super underrated. I find the story fascinating, a guy who gets his arm trapped in between a boulder whilst rock climbing and is left with the decision of having to amputate his own arm. Just an incredible story of survival, and it's fucking brilliant. Was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, it says here, including Best Picture and Best Actor, so I just think it came and went. No one really talks about it. We have our first 4K. We have 300 on 4K. I have yet to see the 4K of that, but it's a very pretty film. How I differentiate between how I want to own a 4K as opposed to a Blu-ray is I wanted to choose like my favourite films I wanted to have on 4K, or sort of visually striking films. And I actually did have to upgrade a lot of that last year. I got rid of a lot of Blu-rays and sort of upgraded a lot of my favourite films onto 4K, but 300 is not one of my favourite films, but a very visually stunning film. We get onto our first Steelbook, of course, 500 Days of Summer. Pretty rubbish steel. My Steelbooks are protected by these like cases, so that the light might reflect off it. Pretty poo Steelbook, to be honest, but my favourite ever film. Go back and listen to the first ever episode of Get Your Flicks Out. 1917 on 4K. Abigail. I think this is our first film that we've covered that is a former Get Your Flicks Out top 10 best of the year. It certainly made it into the honourable mentions. Directed by Radio Silence, who've done a couple of the newer Scream films, Ready or Not. Very Ready or Not adjacent, this film. I think they'd make an excellent double bill, well, triple bill now there's a sequel to Ready or Not. But I also want to know what people think of these like sort of thinner cases as opposed to a traditional one. You can't and when you open it and it has this like recycle logo in it, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of shit. But yeah, really, really great film. Abigail was an absolute flop at the box office, and I think a lot of that had to do with its atrocious marketing, which gave away the plot. So if you don't know anything about Abigail, go into it, and this is the Bloodbath edition, whatever that means. But yeah, Radio Silence are going to be directing the new Brendan Fraser Mummy film. A former Get Your Flicks Out film recommendation, Adventureland. I think this was sort of eclipsed by 500 Days of Summer in terms of like a adult coming of age film. It came out like the following year, but you look at the cast, like Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, Ryan Reynolds. Very impressive cast, and super, super underrated. I love that film. As opposed to a comedy, probably the unfunniest film ever made. Charlotte Wells' After Sun with Paul Mescal. My God, just as a man watching this, just an absolutely horrific insight into depression. 10 out of 10, would not recommend. I don't know why I own it. I actually bought that having never seen it, and it's rough. Now we get onto our first box set, and this is the Alfred Hitchcock Masterpiece Collection. There is 1,000,001 different sort of Alfred Hitchcock box sets you can get. There's ones on 4K. I'll put a clip of this so you can get a better look into the artwork in this and just the sort of layout of it. How many films does this have? 14 films of his in this box set, all in chronological order. There is some sort of noticeable omissions, however, it does Saboteur, Shadow of a Doubt, which was a recent Get Your Flicks Out film recommendation, probably his most underrated film. We have Rope, a fucking fantastic contained film starring Jimmy Stewart, who he collaborated with on some of his biggest films, such as Rear Window. Probably my second favourite Hitchcock film, I think. Trouble with Harry is rubbish. It's a sort of satirical comedy, but comedy from, like, what year is that from? Like the 1940s. It's aged as well as you think it has. It's not good at all. The Man Who Knew Too Much, I don't remember anything about, and I did watch it, but again, James Stewart again. Then of course Vertigo, Psycho, probably his most famous film, The Birds. Marnie, very interesting film, again super underrated, stars Sean Connery, and is a very, like, intense look at sort of like domestic abuse and coercion and control, and, like, not an easy watch. I mean, it is sort of restricted by the censorship of the time, but there's a lot of it's alluded to a lot of sexual abuse in that film and stuff, but really, really underrated film. And that was the last one I've seen. I've not seen a couple of these other ones, so like Torn Curtain, Topaz. These are all like sort of political thrillers. I'm sweating my bollocks off here. Frenzy is one I'm really looking forward to. So this is like Hitchcock in the 70s, where, you know, films were slightly grittier back then, and this is like a cab driver that, like, murders sex workers in the streets or something. And I've heard it's like really, really nasty, and sort of look into what Hitchcock maybe could have done, like if he'd continued to make films throughout the 70s instead of dying like a fucking loser. And then is that his last film there? Yeah, Family Plot, which was the last film he made from 1976. So he only made 2 films post 1970, but 1970, this one, it has Bruce Dern in it, doesn't it? So I have absolutely no idea what that is, but Frenzy, I'm yet to see. But really looking forward to, like I said, some noticeable omissions. It doesn't have North by Northwest or Dial M for Murder, Strangers on a Train, but I think you can get that for like 25 quid, pretty good one. Then we have an Alien box set, which contains Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant. However, Alien itself does have its own 4K. Then we're on to all the films that have American in the title. So we have American Beauty, again, a film that's sort of tainted by who's in it, that being Kevin Spacey, which is quite upsetting considering it's probably in his top 3 performances. I mean, he won his second Oscar for that. We have American History X. We have the first 4 and the only 4 that matter of the American Pie films there. That's recently been released in a box set. But it's like 40 quid when you can buy these films individually for like £2 or something. Then we have this awesome American Psycho steelbook with the slipcover where Patrick Bateman is like peeling the face mask off his face. So again, I'll probably put a close-up of this so you can get a better look for it. And inside of this, we have Patrick Bateman's business card as well. That didn't come with this, so don't buy it thinking it comes with that. I just bought that separately and just thought it'd be a cool thing to have. That's the back of it. A little bit naughty this, because this is actually an American version. As you can, I can tell, one, by the fact that it doesn't have any age stickers from the BBFC on it, and also the barcode there as well. And I did buy this from CEX online, naughty. And I bet you any money that if I ever tried to trade this in, that they'd be like, no, because it's an American copy, even though I bought it off your fucking website. And that's happened quite a few times, and not just with Blu-rays, etc., but with games as well. However, there is this exact same artwork was released here in the UK as well. So it's not exclusively an American steelbook, as opposed to a couple of more I have, but. Yeah, again, I love Patrick Bateman. I actually went as him for Halloween once. I'll put the image of that on screen right now. We have American Sniper. It's propaganda, but I remember kind of liking it when it first came out. We have Arrow Video's 4K of American Werewolf in London. We have Annihilation, which was, I think, the second 4K I ever watched. I do need to rewatch that. I fucking love that. Is such a good sci-fi film, probably one of the best sci-fi films of the last 10 years. We have Another Round, again, former Get Your Flicks Out film recommendation. Mads Mikkelsen in a fucking incredible performance from him. A film about addiction. Well, it's more about a few friends who come up with this social experiment of getting slightly pissed whilst at work to sort of increase their mood, but one of them gets addicted. The second this came out, because it was nominated for a couple of Oscars, I think it got the green light for an American remake with DiCaprio attached to the project, but fuck that. Just watch this. It's the end scene of that film is absolute joy to watch. One of the GOATs, Apocalypse Now on 4K. This also comes with the very famous Heart of Darkness documentary about the making of, which I still need to see, because obviously the making of this film is probably just as famous as the actual film itself. Of course, parodied heavily in Tropic Thunder due to the insane over budget. Marlon Brando was turning up just off his chops every day, as was Martin Sheen. Marlon Brando forgetting his lines, but Marlon Brando's in this film for like 5 minutes, and I think he has like top billing. He's like in the film for literally 5 minutes and just has one of the most iconic scenes of all time. It is a masterpiece, and I actually own the poster of that same cover art as well. Absolute fantastic film. One I'm very excited to talk about. Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. Mel Gibson, again, sort of super cancelled at the moment, although he has sort of been working his way back over the last 10 years and stuff with Hacksaw Ridge and that flight risk film, which he wasn't even in the market in. But this is what he made after Passion of the Christ, and a gory revenge film set during like the Mayan civilization. Just what an incredible concept that is. It's super fucking underrated. I couldn't recommend it enough. Is it? I don't want to get me... Yeah, it is Mayans. I thought it was the Aztecs. Are they the same thing? I don't know. There's my cultural ignorance coming through. But yeah, if you ever get the chance to watch Apocalypto, directed by Mel Gibson, like, I know he's a wrong-un, but you put that guy behind the camera and he knows what he's doing. Very different film now. Armageddon. I've never seen it. I know it's one of the most famous films ever made. Highest grossing film of 98, the year it came out. It's just sort of passed me by. I don't know why. I was sort of too young when it was in the zeitgeist. I know it's become like mega cheesy. You know, you have the epic Aerosmith song as well. I will watch this soon, but yeah, I've never seen it. And of course, I've heard the very famous commentary from Ben Affleck on this, where he sort of questioned Michael Bay's decision, like, wouldn't it be easier to train astronauts to become drillers rather than drillers to become astronauts? Yeah, never seen it. Probably one of the most famous films I've never seen. Next we have the Austin Powers trilogy. They've aged quite well, you know. I own them all individually, not in a box set. I actually don't know if there is a Blu-ray box set of them. They've actually aged really well. Which you wouldn't think for comedy films of the 90s. And I'd say, I forgot to mention that about American Pie as well, because American Pie is about dudes getting laid. It probably isn't as problematic as you'd think it would be. But yeah, I'd say the same about Austin Powers. And I don't want them to make any more. I think if they continue to make them, they wouldn't be great. Baby Driver on Steelbook. My God, it's our boy Kevin Spacey haunting us again. One of the most fascinating films of recent memory, Babylon, a film which I saw in cinema when it was released here in the UK. And watching it, you think, well, this is obviously going to sweep up the Oscars and do quite well, you know, directed by someone who's made some of the most famous films in recent memory, Damien Chazelle, you know, directing La La Land and Whiplash. And, you know, Hollywood loves these kind of films that sort of raise a glass to the sort of golden era of Hollywood. You know, things like La La Land, for example, which I know is set during the modern day, but is sort of very influenced by that sort of generation of filmmaking and that cast as well. But was an absolute bomb. Like, I'll be honest, like, when I watched it, I didn't love it. And I thought, like, it's such an interesting film. And, you know, it's got an incredibly intimidating runtime. It's over 3 hours. I think it's like 3 hours 20. it's all in black, and I can't really read where it would say the length of the film. But yeah, I've still not rewatched it. I do want to, but it's already gained like a cult following. The score is absolutely incredible as well. But yeah, very interesting to see how in maybe 10, 20 years how this will be looked back on. But yeah, should be one of the most famous films of recent memory, but isn't. We've got the Back to the Future trilogy on Blu-ray, of course. On Blu-ray, it's all I own. It's not going to be DVD, is it? We have Bad Boys 1 and 2. I've spoken to death about these films. I think they're fucking brilliant. The 4Ks, by the way, especially Bad Boys 2. I love Bad Boys 2. I know it's, again, catered to a specific audience, that being, you know, young men, but I fucking love it. And I think it still has under 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is just absolutely insane to me. We've got Batman 1966. That's a fantastic Blu-ray transfer, by the way, if you ever get the chance to watch that. I won't dwell on the Batman films too long because I've done a podcast episode about them, but we've got the sort of, I think this is called the, oh my god, that shelf's a bit wobbly. This is the sort of Batman Legacy collection, which is the sort of first four. Well, I mean, you can't really say it's the first because Batman 66 was the first, but you know, from 89, Batman 89 to Batman and Robin, all on 4K there. Then, of course, we have the Nolan trilogy. We have The Batman as well. It's a bit tight, this shelf here. I'm just going to take some out and relieve some of the pressure. We have Battle Royale. We have Beetlejuice. I actually saw that for the first time on a plane coming back from New York a couple of years ago. We have Black Swan, a film I've been dying to rewatch recently. We have Blade and Blade 2. I think Blade 1 surpasses Blade 2. I know it's a sort of either and all, directed by Guillermo del Toro, Blade 2, but I love the original Blade. I think only recently gets its flowers now. I know when people talk about the superhero boom, obviously everybody like jumps to what's his tits, Spider-Man and X-Men, when Blade was actually the one to do it first. But you know, I think people didn't even know Blade was a comic book character at the time. And then Blade Runner on 4K. See what I mean about the visually stunning films? Then we have Blade Runner 2049, which I think is way better than first Blade Runner. We have, I've never spoken about this film, and I actually forgot I own the Blu-ray. Blind Spotting. What year is this from? It's relatively recent. I think it's 2019 or 2020. This tells the story of a guy who's on his last day of parole and witnesses a police officer shoot an unarmed black person, and where he's put in this sort of position on what to do next. But very, very funny film as well. Well, it's sort of a dark comedy, but the end scene of this, it is absolutely incredible. We have Blue Valentine, probably one of the most depressing films in my collection, along with After Sun. We have Bone Tomahawk. Now, this film I've spoken about to someone recently. I am very good with gore and stuff like that, but Bone Tomahawk contains a death, and if you know anything about this film, you know what I'm talking about. The death in this film, and you know what I'm talking about, is possibly the closest I've ever come to throwing up watching a film. Especially, it will probably affect you more if you're a guy, but the scene in this film is fucking horrible, mate. Let's just whack them back in here. Ooh! Just dropped my DeLorean. Next up, we have another director's box set. This is from Curzon, Bong Joon-ho. Contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Technically 8 films of his. Barking Dogs Never Bite, Memories of a Murder, which I need to see, The Host, Mother, Snowpiercer and Parasite, and it also contains the black and white version of Parasite, but doesn't contain Okja, was that what it was called? That weird film he did that went direct to Netflix, one of the sort of earlier direct to Netflix films, and then Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights on 4K. This is showing in cinema in June. and I am dragging two of my friends to the cinema to watch it. I watched this earlier this year. As soon as the 4K got released, I went straight to HMV and bought the shit out of it. I love that artwork as well, not because I'm a creep. Right, row one, done. Boys in the Hood. Heavily influenced Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Boys in the Hood, especially the Ice Cube character, who's obviously... well, not the Ice Cube character, just the soundtrack. It's fucking brilliant. Just ignore that. I actually forgot to mention when I was talking about Bone Tomahawk, same director, Brawl in Cell Block 99. S. Craig Zahler made 3 films in the space of 4 years. Bone Tomahawk, this, and another film we'll be covering shortly. If I could compare Craig S. Zahler to another director, it'd be Quentin Tarantino. You have these very stylistic films that are very heavily influenced by like grindhouse films of the 1970s. Lots of very over-the-top violence with sort of lengthy dialogue scenes. Like Bone Tomahawk is very much a slow burn, and I'd say the same about Brawl in Cell Block 99, but... where's he gone? Like, he's not made a film since like 2019 or something. Yeah, make something, please, because you were coming across as like a modern day master, like auteur. I'm very excited to see what he's doing next. I should probably look up if he is doing anything next. But yeah, awesome movie, incredible performance by Vince Vaughn in that. We have Bridesmaids. For some fucking reason, why do I own that? Fuck me. We've got A Bug's Life. Me and Alice spoke about this on a recent episode. Probably one of Pixar's most underrated. Was sort of caught in the middle of the Toy Story films, and I think is sort of massively underappreciated. We have Bullet Train, a former top 10 Get Your Flicks Out entrant. We have Buried with Ryan Reynolds in one of the fewer serious roles he's done. We have Cabin in the Woods. We have Candyman, not to be confused with the Christina Aguilera song of the first name. Really ahead of its time, Candyman, especially with the sort of like racial themes that it deals with. Fucking brilliant film, and also starring the sadly recently passed Tony Todd. I didn't really love that recent reboot they did. A film I do love, well, I don't love it, it's a very flawed film, but that would be The Cell, a film I recommended recently. I spoke about how I was really like taken aback by the artwork, and that's what made me buy the 4K of this. So yeah, that's all it takes to to lure me in. But yeah, The Matrix meets Silence of the Lambs is the best way I would describe that. We have Challengers, again in the really thin, shitty case. We have... Oh, God, I forgot I had this. Chicago. Best Picture winner, by the way. Not sure about that, bro. One of the most underrated films of all time. Alfonso Cuarón's Children of Men with Clive Owen. Michael Caine's in it. I have no recollection of that. I think I'm going to start watching all of these in order. Now I've got my own place and I've got more time to myself, because although I have seen Children of Men, it's been a long, long time since I've watched it. One of the GOATs, City of God, is very like highly regarded. I think it's in the top 15 on IMDb. One of the truly great films of all time, let alone non-English speaking films, sort of about gang culture in the streets of Brazil. The villain performance in this is one of the most chilling of all time. And do you know what? I don't know if this guy ever made anything, and a lot of the people in this film weren't really actors. And I think there's been a million stories of that, like the guy in Captain Phillips and stuff, but I think it just brings a real sort of reality to it. But yeah, City of God is a masterpiece if you haven't seen that. We have Closer. This is ever in anybody's top 4, especially a woman. Run. Yeah, just an insight into horrible relationships between 4 absolutely horrible people. I remember this. Wow, it got nominated for 2 Oscars. Natalie Portman, Clive Owen. It actually won a Golden Globe as well, but it doesn't. Winner of 2. Yeah, so they both won Golden Globes. Yeah, very interesting film. That scene in the strip club is something, isn't it? Cloud Atlas, I said when Jess said this was her favourite film of all time that I'd be buying the Blu-ray, and I did, and it was only like £2. Again, fascinating how like no one speaks about this film, considering who's in it and who makes it, that being the Wachowskis. I've yet to see it. I did start it a few weeks ago, and I got like 20 minutes in, but it was like 9:30 at night, and it's like a 3-hour film, and I was like, nah, I need to concentrate for this. That's a Sunday afternoon film, if anything. Get in, you cunt. Ooh, we've dropped our first C-bomb. We have Cloverfield, which I've already spoken about. This I only got today. This has been very hard to get hold of. This is a Coen Brothers collection. Has been out of stock on CX for fucking ages, and then there was one that was in stock. I bought it, and then they automatically refunded me. I think it probably was a case of where they have the cover reprinted. Apparently they're not allowed to sell those ones online, but it's a sort of weird collection of theirs. So it has 8 films: Hail Caesar, True Grit, A Serious Man, Burn After Reading, No Country for Old Men, Intolerable Cruelty, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and The Big Lebowski. So some notable omissions again. Well, most notably Fargo, which I would argue is probably their most famous film, alongside No Country is their most famous film, followed by The Big Lebowski, followed by Fargo, I'd say. Yeah, I've voiced my displeasurement of some of these guys' films, especially Ethan Coen, who's made Drive Away Dolls and the other one. What was it called? Honey Don't, 2 of absolutely god-awful films, but very excited for that. Love No Country for Old Men. It's a weird mixture of films because they do like these really serious films like No Country for Old Men and True Grit and stuff, but then they have that sort of really like quirky satire movies they do, like Burn After Reading and stuff. True Grit is so underrated. I've never seen the original, but yeah, very excited to work my way through them. Collateral, Tom Cruise's best ever performance. We have The Criterion of Come and See. This was the 2000th film I logged on Letterboxd. I wanted it to be something special. Special's probably not the right word. Yeah, it's one of the most harrowing films ever made, and I'd actually never heard of it prior to joining Letterboxd. It's one of the highest rated films on there. This, if you don't know, is a film through the eyes of a child soldier during World War II and the German invasion of what is now Belarus. One of might even be the greatest ever child performance from this lad here. I don't know his name, and I don't know if he's gone on to do anything else, but it's not a nice watch. I do believe it's available to watch on YouTube, but yeah, I wanted something special for my 2000th film. This isn't cheap to get hold of. I think, again, it's an American copy. It's like over 30 quid, but yeah, it's horrible, but I'd watch it again just to sort of admire it because of how great it is. A very different film next. Con Air. Fucking love that shit, man. I love Con Air. Coraline. We have Crash. David Cronenberg's Crash, not the atrocious 2006 Best Picture. I'm dying to watch this. In fact, I think I'm going to make my girlfriend watch this soon. It's a very interesting look into kink, albeit a niche kink of people who sexualize car crashes, but very, very great performance from James Spader, who's one of the most underrated good-looking dudes of all time, by the way. He's not aged well, but in his prime, no homo, smash. And Holly Hunter, who is Mrs. Incredible, who I would also smash. But yeah, Crash. But yeah, make sure you watch that Crash and not the shitty 2006 Crash. We've got The Crow. We've got one of my guilty pleasure films, Daredevil. Here we have another director's box set here. We have this David Lynch collection. I don't think this is legit. I think this is a sort of Chinese knockoff, because you can even see on the sides there. And also, if you're probably not going to be able to tell on here, but the sort of resolution on the photos, also on the discs, It doesn't even have like the title of the films, they're just sort of numbered. It does contain all 10 of the films he did. So Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Dune, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, Lost Highway, Straight Story, Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire. So it does have his entire filmography. And then when I tested it to see if it worked, and it did, but the copy of Eraserhead, it had the Criterion logo at the beginning, so I think this is bootleg. But I still had to pay a pretty penny for it. It was over 50 quid, I know that. We have Dawn of the Dead. I need to rewatch this because it comes with like fucking 12 discs. No, it comes with 3 discs. There's like 3 different versions of this, so I need to... That's the original Dawn of the Dead, by the way. Not to be confused with Zack Snyder's excellent... No, that's the original one again. Excellent remake. This is an American copy, but it has since got a UK release. I'm laughing because I have a fun story about this next film, The Day After Tomorrow. So, released in 2004, released in that time period where the world was starting to sort of take global warming much more seriously. And I thought that the events of this film were going to happen in real life. And I used to cry myself to sleep thinking Manchester was going to be hit with an enormous tidal wave and we'd all get frozen over and die. And I was too scared to watch it in the cinema. And it's not as if I was like 5 years old when this came out. I was like 11 or 12. What a fucking loser. But yeah, yet to watch it. Like a lot of Roland Emmerich films, has very impressive visual effects, but everything else is a bit shit. We have Daybreakers, which is a very overlooked film, vampire film with Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe and Sam Neill. And it's a very interesting take where like vampires rule the world, but they've killed all the humans and they're running out of blood to consume. Yeah, kind of. I remember that the trailer played Placebo's cover of Running Up That Hill, and that's how I got into Placebo. We have the first Deadpool film. We have The Departed on 4K, which is I think a recently released American copy. But yeah, kind of crazy that a film of that nature has only just got a 4K release. Now we have a beautiful steelbook coming up. We have The Descent. Now again, this is an American copy. This is getting a UK release later this year. However, it doesn't come with the slipcover, so the artwork is the same. So the slipcover is, of course, the cave with all the women in the cave, but as you release the slipcover, the cave is actually the mouth of one of the monsters. So it's getting a 4K release, but it's just this. It's just the steelbook without the slipcover, and I think it only comes with 1 disc, whereas this comes with 2, and I've got the inside artwork as well, which shows Sarah in the Pool of Blood. Saw that in cinema for its 20th anniversary last year, and it is one of the best horror films ever made. Really ahead of its time with an all-female cast as well, but it's fucking horrible, especially if you're claustrophobic and things like that. I'm not going to get all of these out, but there we have the first 4 Die Hard films, the only Die Hard films that matter. Unpopular opinion, I think the third one's the best. We have District 9, you fucking prawn. We've got Django Unchained. Is this our first Tarantino one we've come across? I think so. I have all of Tarantino's films on Steelbook, and that you can get for very cheap as well. Doctor Sleep. Recently rewatched this. One of the most underrated films of the last 20 years, I'd say. Real shame that it just bombed massively. I just find it insane to me how a sequel to one of the most famous films ever made, that being The Shining, flopped as hard as it did. If you get the physical version, it actually comes with the extended cut, which is 3.5 hours long. And there was already criticism towards the film's length when it first came out, which again I think attributed to its failure at the box office. Yeah, so the theatrical version is 152 minutes. The director's cut is 180 minutes. So pardon me, the theatrical version is 2.5 hours, and the director's cut is 3 hours, not 3.5 hours. But yeah, love this. I love the sort of extended lore within this universe. If anyone asks me what I consider to be one of the most underrated horror films ever made, it's Doctor Sleep. Sticking with Doctors, we've got Doctor Strangelove, currently making my way through Kubrick's filmography. We have Dogma. I think if you're in the physical media space, you'll know that a Blu-ray of this once upon a time was over $100, and earlier this year finally got re-released on Blu-ray and 4K, and this is of course is the 4K. Still the only Kevin Smith film I've ever seen, can you believe that? Next we have, very recently, this only came out last week, we have the Dollars trilogy in 4K from Arrow Video. These all were released individually a couple of years ago, but has now finally been released as part of a collection. Very excited to watch those. I've only ever seen The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. We have Don't Look Now, again, just incredibly underrated horror film. Is this the 70s? Beautifully shot film, and has, I don't want to sound lame or anything, but it has one of the most iconic and most beautifully shot love-making scenes of all time. But yeah, absolutely fantastic film, Don't Look Now, and one of the most shocking endings, but shocking from the, although I think you might not take it seriously the first time just because of how out there it is, but yeah, incredible film. Then we get to Craig S. Zala's third and final film, Dragged Across Concrete. I do think it's the weakest of the three he's done, although it's still fantastic. This, it's again stars Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson as two detectives who get suspended for like 2 months, and they've got to find ways to make money in that 2 months. So they sort of take on this security job, and they hear tale of a planned bank robbery. And the bank robbery scene in this is one of the truly most upsetting and anxiety-inducing scenes ever, and how it just builds up from this woman who works at the bank, and how it's her first day back at work, having just given birth. Like it's her first day back after maternity leave, and it is just truly one of the most horrible scenes in a like just truly gut wrenching, and just the violence in this film is just so utterly sudden. I think it's a little bit too long. Like I said, his previous films do sort of feel like slow burns. Like this is 158 minutes, so again 2.5 hours, well over 2.5 hours long. But yeah, very brief performance from Jennifer Carpenter in this, and again, I just, it's still a 4-star film. I just think it's the worst out of a good bunch. But yeah, I couldn't recommend that trilogy of films he's made, although they're not a trilogy. But his 3 films are made are fucking brilliant. Make something else, please. We have Dread. Why hasn't this got a sequel? I know why, because this was a financial disaster, and one of the few times that 3D looked very good. Make it into a TV series, the fans want it, and it's the best ever version of that character we've ever gotten and probably will ever get. We have Drive. This was one of the first sort of like art house films that I sort of liked, and I know people have gone on to say it's overrated, but I don't know. I love it. I love Drive. One of the best soundtracks of all time. We have Duel, of course, Steven Spielberg's first film. I think that film, it does it a bit of discredit because that's all people sort of know it for. Like even on the case, it says Steven Spielberg's first film. We have Dunkirk, a film that I need to rewatch. We have a really underrated David Cronenberg film and fantastic performance from Viggo Mortensen in Eastern Promises. We have Edward Scissorhands. We have Neil Blomkamp's Elysium, which was his much anticipated follow-up from District 9. Neil Blomkamp should have gone on to be the biggest sci-fi director since Ridley Scott, and he was even like attached to do an Alien film and like a RoboCop film, but I don't know why he's just had so much bad luck, and then he ends up making a fucking Gran Turismo movie. Like what? The fall off needs to be studied. Absolutely fascinating. We have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, another depressing film. We have Event Horizon. Fucking love Event Horizon. Hugely, well, since gained like a cult following. Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who's gone on to make a lot of shit films, specifically the Resident Evil movies starring his wife Mila Jovovich, but you'll always have done Event Horizon and the original Mortal Kombat film. Everything Everywhere All at Once on 4K. This doesn't even have a Blu-ray release here in the UK, I don't think, let alone a 4K. Fun story, I got this for free off Amazon because I ordered it around Christmas time. It got delivered from the US, and because delivery took so long, I got it for free. So they refunded me, and it still ended up coming weeks and weeks later. We have Evil Dead Rise. I used to have the Evil Dead trilogy as a Blu-ray box set, and I ended up getting rid of it because I always said I never liked those films, and now that box set goes for quite a bit of money. We have Face Off. We have the incredible Fantastic Mr. Fox, directed by Wes Anderson. This is my dog's favourite film. Whenever I put it on, she loves to watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. Adore that film. A film I think I've spoken about on here before, Faster, starring Dwayne Johnson, in a period where he wasn't obsessed with becoming the biggest star in the world. Just a really fun B-movie action film based off memory. Oh, the receipt's in there, which will show me how much I paid for it. £1.50. Can't complain with that. But yeah, I remember really enjoying that, which is why I bought the Blu-ray. We have Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of my all-time favourites. We have the very recently released Fight Club on 4K Steelbook. Can you believe it took until 2026 for us to get fucking Fight Club on 4K? I did have another Steelbook of this, which was the Zavvi exclusive one. I traded it in because I knew it was getting a 4K release, so I traded that in to get that. I've heard not very good things about the transfer though, so that's going to be interesting to see. I actually did see that in cinema recently. I don't know why they were showing it in cinema. I think they were advertising it as a 25th anniversary, but it's been more than 25 years. We've got The Fighter, the film which Christian Bale won his Oscar for, which I think people forget about. We have Fighting With My Family, which is the film about the WWE wrestler Paige. The second best film she ever had made about herself, the other being her sex tape. We have the Final Destination quadrilogy, the first 4. This goes for a pretty penny. This goes for over 30 quid now. I found this in a cash converters for like £2.50, and I already knew that it went for quite a bit of money. So that was one of my best ever sort of like pre-owned shop finds, I guess you could say. I don't think the Final Destination 3, I don't think it contains the... Because on the original version of the DVD, you could like make choices from the character's perspective, and you could try and save people, and they actually filmed other scenes and stuff like that. I don't think you get that in the Blu-ray, which is kind of disappointing. But yeah, I've spoken about those films on here before and how much they mean to me. Then we have the... Oh no, I nearly said the atrocious. It's the 4th film that's atrocious. Final Destination 5 is very, very good. And then I also have, although I said I didn't like it, I said I'd give it another chance, and that's Final Destination's Bloodlines on 4K. We have Filth, super underrated film with James McAvoy. My God, that case is a bit knackered. From the same author, the book is from the same author as Irvine Welsh, who did Trainspotting. Then we have Finding Nemo, a film I spoke about in the intro. I actually looked up recently what's the best-selling DVD of all time, and you're looking right at it. And significantly as well, I think it sold like just under 40 million copies on DVD. And I think second place is like 10 million behind that. So yeah, big up Finding Nemo. We have Flight with Denzel Washington. We have The Fly, David Cronenberg's The Fly. Very upset, very sad film. And a fucking brilliant performance from Jeff Goldblum before he became a meme. I find him to be quite cringe these days, but if you ever want an insight just to how good he actually is, watch The Fly. Then we have Christopher Nolan's debut film, Following. Recently rewatched this. Me and my friend and previous guest Joseph Croft are rewatching the Nolan's filmography. Very short film. It's like an hour long. Does it say on here how long it is? I don't even think. Yeah, 70 minutes. So it's 1 hour 10. It's a lot worse than I remember. But it was made for £5,000, and it's just got really like bad dialogue, and the acting is very, very subpar, especially from the sort of villain character. But it's very interesting, and like I said, it's 1 hour 10. We have the incredible Four Lions in a very weird case. It's like made of cardboard. Yeah, and I always found the disc to be quite unusual as well. Yeah. But yeah, one of the greatest British comedies of all time, despite its subject matter. We have a sort of forgotten great, I think, The Fugitive. I watched Chris Stuckman's review of this, which is what inspired me to buy it. And it also said, whatever happened to like high budget thrillers? Like we just don't really get them anymore. And he used this as a great example. But yeah, The Fugitive on 4K is a very, very underrated film in my opinion. Then we have Funny Games, the remake directed by Michael Haneke, who also directed the original film. And this is like a shot-for-shot remake, very upsetting film, very, very messed up. We have a former Get Your Flicks Out runner-up, I think, or third place. We have Furiosa. I actually don't own any of the other Mad Max films, but yeah, that's on a cheeky little 4K steelbook. We have Fury. Some weird noises going on in my kitchen. I think this temperature's melting everything. We have The Gentleman. We have Jordan Peele's Get Out. We have The Godfather on 4K box set. We have one of my favourite films in recent year, that being Godzilla Minus One. I actually did get the collector's edition of this just because it came with the black and white version, Godzilla Minus Colour, Godzilla Minus One Minus Colour, but I ended up getting rid of it just because I literally only bought, because that's the only way you can watch that version of the film, and then just ended up getting the single copy on 4K. But yeah, the greatest monster movie ever made, or at least the greatest monster movie I've ever seen, and I am very, very excited for the upcoming sequel. We have David Fincher, I forgot his fucking name. David Fincher's Gone Girl. Where's the fucking 4K of this? Because again, in a very silly cardboard case. I think there's a version of this that comes with the children's book that the Rosamund Pike character writes. I think that's meant to come with this copy, but when I bought it, I didn't know that when I bought it. We have Goodfellas on 4K. I need to rewatch that. I've always found it to be quite boring. We have Robert Pattinson's Good Time, probably one of the earlier performances he did where people started to take him much seriously, but really great film, very akin to Uncut Gems, which I mean, it's the same directors as it is the Safdie brothers that make it before they broke up. We have The Graduate, one of the most iconic final shots in cinema history. Weird artwork. I don't know why he's sat next to a leopard or a jaguar or a cheetah. Very strange. We're actually getting through this a lot quicker than I thought we would. I think we'll be done in the next 20 minutes or so because of my phone. How much battery are we on? Oh my god, it's twatting my battery. We've got the Grand Budapest Hotel. Probably Wes Anderson's best. I think ever since he made that, I've hated everything he's done since. I mean, I haven't seen Isle of Dogs, but The French Dispatch and Asteroid City, I found them both to be incredibly pretentious and a bit like, oh, and The Phoenician Scheme as well, I didn't like, but Grave of the Fireflies. I've got a very complicated relationship with Studio Ghibli. I don't know if I've spoken about this on here. I don't know if it's just the fact that I haven't grown up with those films, but the films that I've seen, like I've seen Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro and The Boy and the Heron, and I just haven't enjoyed them. Especially, I think My Neighbor Totoro is one of the most boring animated films I've ever seen. And I understand the visuals are very interesting and breathtaking, but I just didn't enjoy it. This, however, is fucking incredible, although it is probably one of the saddest films I've ever seen. There's a bit of a theme during this first half, isn't there? We've got Gravity, a film I have still got a bit of the CEX goop on there. One of my favourite ever cinema experiences, to be honest. Now we have... I bought this from HMV recently, and they're 3 for £50 4K. One of my dad's favourite films, and the reason I opted to buy the 4K of this is, one, because it's Arrow Video, and they do just some of the greatest restorations there is. But it's one of my dad's favourite films, and I thought if I want to experience it, I want to experience it the best way possible, which of course would be on 4K. So I need to watch that and let him know my opinion about it, because it is 3 hours long, which again, I didn't want to watch like a shitty copy when it's 3 hours long. We've got The Great Gatsby, we've got The Green Mile, we've got Green Street, a film which I think is far better than it has any right to be, you know, released during a time of an absolute plethora of like football hooligan films, but one of the better ones, and I was fucking Frodo's in it. Just ignore Charlie Hunnam's accent, one of the worst ever movie accents of all time in that film. Fucking poo. Then we have the Grindhouse double edition on Steelbook, which of course contains Planet Terror by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. Quite expensive to get hold of this. I don't think these films have their own individual Steelbooks, although Death Proof might, although not available in the US or the UK. I think it was only ever released on HD DVD. Do you remember those? It's one of the few films I think has a Steelbook on HD DVD. Death Proof is fucking rubbish. Like, I don't want to talk about it too much because I do want to do a Tarantino ranked later down the line, but I quite enjoyed Planet Terror, going off memory. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You're probably like, where are the other ones? You'll find out during the next episode. We've got The Guest, fantastic B-movie, directed by Adam Wingard, who's gone on to make like huge blockbusters, like you know, the new Godzilla and Kong movies. But brilliant performance from Dan Stevens and Micah Monroe, who you'll probably know from It Follows and Long Legs, etc. Then we have Harry Brown. Again, a film I think is much better than it has any right to be. This is just a sort of basic revenge film. But what if the guy getting revenge was a 90-year-old dude played by Michael Caine, and it stars Plan B as the villain? Yeah, he's like an army veteran whose friend, who's played by David Bradley, Professor Filch from Harry Potter, is killed by some chavs, and he sort of uses his like skills from back in the day to take revenge on all these horrible chavs on a council estate. But yeah, much better than it has any right to be, based off memory. Then we have the Harry Potter collection on Blu-ray. Probably need to upgrade to the 4K for that one day. Then we have Hacksaw Ridge and The Hateful Eight on Steelbook. Again, sticking with the Tarantino Steelbook collection. We've got Heat, Michael Mann's Heat, the greatest. You can still see the poster up there. I saw this in cinema for its 30th anniversary last year, and for the first time ever, I wanted to watch it again the second I got home. I actually watched this during lockdown and I was sort of like on my phone and stuff. I love it. It's perfect. It's one of the few films I would consider to be perfect. And not only is it just a cool heist film, but the themes it deals with, primarily obsession and addiction to your job and wanting to be the best at your job, and how you've got these two characters played by Pacino and De Niro who are both sides of the same coin. I could talk about it all day. I love it, and I need to watch it. I said this would be one of the first films I watched when I moved here on my now fuck off TV, and I need to watch it again. Fuck yeah, what a sick film. It's just so sick. Then we have Heathers. We have the incredibly underrated and my favourite film of the year it came out, Hell on High Water. I know this guy's recently made something. My God, I cannot read that. It's so small. But a sort of like modern Western starring Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine. It's about two brothers who are like bank robbers. But yeah, I just remember loving it. And I remember saying it was my favourite film of the year it came out. And speaking of favourite films, The GOAT, Hercules, or this I don't think has a 4K release yet. I mean, I'm not too bothered when it comes to this sort of animated style when it comes to 4K, but yeah, I've spoken about it before, and there she is, the most beautiful woman of all time. God, I want her to spit in my mouth so bad. Right, we've got Hereditary on 4K Steelbook. We have the incredibly underrated History of Violence, again by David Cronenberg. I've got a lot of his films, haven't I? The Hobbit 4K collection. I won some money back in March and I opted to buy this, having never seen them. And I was on a bit of a Lord of the Rings high because they've obviously re-released the extended versions in theatres for their 25th anniversary. I was on this huge Lord of the Rings high, so wanted to watch this. And I watched the first one and I've forgotten everything about it already. It just doesn't have... I don't know what it is it's missing, but I don't know if it's the characters just aren't interesting because they all look the same, because it's all the dwarfs with the beards and the long hair. It just... I meant the sort of exposition dump at the beginning is quite good, but it just doesn't have the scale or the stakes, I think, of the original trilogy. But I'm yet to see the second and third one, so what the fuck do I know? They could be incredible, but I don't think they are. And I just, like, no one talks about them anymore. Like, it's. I don't even think it's been 10 years since that trilogy finished, and I just don't think people talk about them. 2023, get your flicks out. Best film of the year winner, The Holdovers. I've watched this 4 times since it came out. I've watched it every Christmas. It's the best Christmas film ever. I think there's a conversation to be had. But yeah, I love it, love it, love it. Just a nice film, just a nice warm film. What the fuck's this? Oh my god, Hostel, and then Hostel Part 2, which I actually think is significantly better than the first one. Sort of released in that torture porn era of films alongside the Saw films. Hostel 2 though is way better. All female led cast as well. We have Hot Fuzz. We have The Hurt Locker on Steelbook. This was made for like... Sorry, not this made. This made fuck all. This is one of the weirdest, like, sort of releases of a film, because this film came out in like 2008. No one saw it. It made like... I don't even think it made $1 million at the box office. It made next to nothing at the box office. And then won Best Picture. And it just... people like... And you watch it and it's like, it's good, but it's not Best Picture winner good. Like, very, very strange. And then Catherine Bigelow's gone on to make such weird films since. Like, she seems to love making... My phone just ran out of space. We need to smash through this. So we got In Bruges, one of my favourite ever films. God, I remember the first time I watched this at an ex-girlfriend's house. I put it off for ages for some reason. Deals with some pretty intense stuff, but is very, very funny. I'd even go saying it's probably one of my favourite ever comedies, albeit a black comedy. Then we have Inception on 4K. Right, final few now. We have The Incredibles on... I said 4K, it's fucking Blu-ray, James. Then we have this beautiful Indiana Jones Steelbook collection of the first 4 films. They still haven't released like a version where you get all 5 films. I mean, we only need to watch the first 3, don't we? This is my favourite trilogy of all time. I know it's not a trilogy anymore because they've since made others, but yeah, just beautiful steelbooks. Has the sort of iconic posters, and on the back of each one it has like the treasure on each one. So on the back it has the Ark of the Covenant. There's your Temple of Doom one with the sort of 3 stones. Then we have Last Crusade with the Holy Grail, and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with the Crystal Skull at the back. I hate that film. Well, it gives me an opportunity to talk about the 5th Indiana Jones film, probably the last time we'll ever get time with this character. I rewatched this about 18 months ago with a friend who had never seen any of them. I think this is so overhated. I think it's significantly better than Crystal Skull. It has problems, and I know there's a lot of criticisms towards the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character. The opening 40 minutes, like I know a lot of people like the opening of this film, which is sort of the flashback, but I think the opening 40 minutes as a whole is actually very, very good. But the film, it's long and it went over budget. I think it didn't cost like 400 million to make or something insane. We've got Inglourious Bastards on 4K. I think this is Tarantino's best film, by the way. Again, I don't want to talk about his films too much because I do one day want to do a ranking of his. Inside Llewyn Davis, probably the Coen brothers' most underrated film, a film that just says a big fuck you to happy endings and the absolute troubles of wanting to be a successful musician. We have Inside Out. We have Christopher Nolan's Insomnia. I think this is a German copy. Yeah. Oh no, it's all in English, although I do think it is a German copy. Again, it doesn't have... Oh no, it's an American copy. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of insane that a Christopher Nolan film doesn't have like an official release here in this country. But again, I find it fascinating. I spoke about this when I did my Nolan ranking, how like this film just passed this country by. Like I never heard anyone talk about this film. I only heard about someone talking about it about 10 years ago, and it has Al Pacino, it has Robin Williams playing like a child murderer. It's fucking, I don't know, it's fascinating that no one speaks about this film in this country. We've got Interstellar on 4K. We have one of my all-time favourite films, Into the Wild. We've got The Invisible Man. We've got The Iron Claw, which, God, there's a lot of sad movies in this list. We've got I Saw the Devil, which is a fantastic Korean film, which stars, what's his name? Ki Ji-woon, is that him? No, Chow Min-sik, that's him. It's the guy from Old Boy who plays this sadistic serial killer. And again, just a really great revenge film, although it is very fucked up. We have I, Tonya, which I think is Margot Robbie's finest performance. We have It Chapters 1 and 2 on 4K. Sticking with 4K, we have It Follows, one of my favourite horror films. I actually saw this in cinema last year because they were showing it for some kind of horror season, and I just forgot how genuinely like unsettling it is. A horrible film. We have Jackie Brown on Steelbook. We have Jacob's Ladder, a film that again was super like underseen back in the day, but has since garnered this really like great cult following. Has very horrible imagery in it. I don't know if you can see that there, but this was actually one of the leading inspirations for Silent Hill, the video games. Although I found the twist to be quite predictable. We have the James Bond collection on Blu-ray. Why haven't we got a 4K release of the James Bond collection? Why do we not have a James Bond collection that comes with No Time to Die? You can only get the first 24. I don't know. I'm a bit worried for the future of this franchise just because fucking Amazon have got their grubby hands all over it, and that doesn't really spell well for the future of physical media. I know they've just released fairly recently, the Connery films have all been released on 4K. We have Jason and the Argonauts, a film I've spoken about as a film recommendation before. Again, this is an absolutely fantastic Blu-ray transfer and one of the best films of its era, massively underrated. What an incredible film. We have Jaws on 4K Steelbook. This was a 50th anniversary release. And we also have a steelbook of Jennifer's Body. Now you might think, James, why the fuck do you have Jennifer's Body on steelbook? Well, it's because the box art for the standard Blu-ray over here is that bad that I just couldn't bring myself to buy it, so I had to get the steelbook. I'll put an image of that on screen now. We have John Wick chapters 1 to 4 on 4K. You'll notice that there's a bit of damage there, and that's because I spilt Lucasade. Was I hungover or something? I think I was hanging out my arse one day, and then back at my mum's house, I had the bottle of Lucasade on top of the shelf, and I kicked it over and damaged a lot of films in the J to L section. We have John from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. I again think that was super underrated. I quite like that film. We have Jojo Rabbit. We have Joker. I know a lot of people sort of love to hate that film, but I don't know. I kind of like it. We have the Jurassic Park trilogy on 4K. We're so close. We have Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 on Steelbook. It's just been announced today, as I'm recording this, that The Whole Bloody Affair is getting a physical release, albeit it's in like a box set. It's not getting like an individual like Steelbook release, which is kind of disappointing. No news on it being released in the UK. It's only available to pre-order on Amazon US, but that can always change. Again, I think it's a rights thing that it's taken so long because they only got released like 18 months ago. We have Killers of the Flower Moon, again, which is a US only release. I feel like this film again just sort of came and went. This is a Criterion collection, by the way, of just this, and yeah, I just love it when they all come with these like sexy little booklets that I'll never read. Came and went, and just like, who did Lily Gladstone lose the Oscar out to that year? Fairly recently, wasn't it? I remember it. Oh, it was Emma Stone in Poor Things. Yeah, maybe. I love Poor Things. I like the film as well. We have King Kong, the original one from the 1930s, which is aged brilliantly, and it was Adolf Hitler's favourite film, or one of his favourite films. We have the 2005 Peter Jackson, directed by Peter Jackson, who, following Lord of the Rings, they were like, so what do you want to do next? He was like, can I make my own King Kong? And they were like, sure, yes. And he did, and it's 3 hours long, and I quite like it. Also has a very underrated video game tie-in. We have Kingsman: The Secret Service. That franchise is dead, isn't it? My God, I hate the sequel to that film. We have Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, really underrated, sort of like buddy, not cops, but like buddy comedy with Robert Downey Jr. and the late great Val Kilmer, directed by Shane Black, who did The Nice Guys as well, another super underrated film of his, but then killed his career when he made The Predator. Last couple now, before my phone fucking explodes from lack of storage. We've got Kneecap. I mean, this group have obviously made news for multiple reasons over the last 12 months or so. I watched this film before all that. I mean, I completely stand by about 85% of what they say. But incredible artwork. Also, check this out. Comes with Rizzlers. So yeah, really great film. Very, very funny. And again, 3 guys who aren't really actors, but all play themselves and are very, very good. We have... last 2 actually. Yeah, we were just covering K. So the last 2, we've got Knives Out and Knocked Up. One of the earliest sort of DVDs that I used to watch obsessively, and especially the extended version. Judd Apatow's got such a weird filmography. Like he likes like fucking 2.5 hour long comedies and stuff. Doesn't really work for me. Anyway, that's part 1. Sorry, the sort of latter half of that felt a little bit rushed. I've got another 6 minutes of footage to use. This is going to be an absolute bastard to edit. That's going to be the rest of my evening while it's 30 plus degrees out there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I'll stick it on YouTube. I wouldn't subscribe. Well, subscribe for part 2. But again, it's not. It's just a one-off unless I decide to do something similar later down the line. But yeah, it's just a massive thank you for everybody who's stood by me these last 5 years. I love film. It's one of the few things that keeps me going, and making this podcast and making my lists and getting to talk about film, albeit to a small audience, it's an audience, and that's better than no audience. So thank you for listening to me waffle for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, however long this is. So this is going to go live at the end of May, last day of May, part 2, which we will cover the last remaining films in my collection. I don't think it'll be as long as this because I don't think there'll be as many films to cover. But yeah, just a massive thank you. Thank you for listening to me for 5 years, and here's to another 5. And yeah, I will see you on the next episode of the Get Your Flicks Out podcast.